Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
People will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth. Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, before we get started, we have a few things to tell you.
We do.
We want to make sure that you remember that our next Patreon Buffy watch is of Bad Girls, and it's this Saturday, December 9th at 2 p.m. Pacific. We'll be watching that amazing episode all together as a group and chatting it up. So if you're already a patron, you know how these work. If you're not, but you want to get into it, just go to bufferingthevampireslayer.com and click on Patreon, and you can learn everything there. Also, we just want to shout out that our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful secret Facebook group of our Patreon patrons just started a book club.
A book club!
I can't take it.
Ugh.
They're too precious.
You're all wonderful.
World.
Now, as you know, 'tis the season.
Whatever that means.
So we just wanted to let you know that you should get your buffering merchandise over in our store while you can. There's new stock that's coming in this weekend, so if you've gone in the last week and the size of the shirt that you need for your favorite best gal pal is not there, you can check back at the beginning of next week. That will be the last restocking that we're doing before the holiday shipping deadlines kick in. So you want to get there as soon as you can and grab what you can while you can, because some of these things will sell out. We're doing our best to keep it in stock, but we just heads up, if you need the Board Me Out t-shirt, or if you need the new Goth Smash the Demon Lizard Patriarchy t-shirt, or God forbid if you need the Giles pin, that one you really want to grab, because those are going like wildfire?
Hot cakes?
Like hotcakes, Jenny says. So as you probably know, bufferingthevampireslayer.com. Just click on shop. You can find out all of the details about all of that stuff and get all your goodies while they last.
Speaking of goodies, you're going to want, if you don't already, you're going to want to start following us on Twitter this week, because we're going to be doing some giveaways. We're going to be giving away some palm hats, a set of Faith and Buffy Funko dolls, the second volume of the Watcher's Guide, and more. So follow us at BufferingCast on Twitter.
I just don't think you were as excited as you should have been about the Faith and Buffy Funko dolls. Like, you just said it. Like, it was like nothing.
Well, I'm just trying not to, I don't want to impose my excitement on everyone else.
This incredible thing is happening where you wonderful listeners are sending us things to give away. Christine, our listener Christine, and her cats Mary Jane, Brock, and Octavius sent us these Funko dolls so that we could pass on the love. It's really incredible. And if you're a person that has some Buffy items that you don't know what to do with, you have a double set of something or what have you, you can find our mailing address on our website if you want to send it to us, and then we will give it away to a Buffy fan out there who's just been waiting for their moment.
Just redistributing the Buffy wealth, as it were.
So we're going to be doing that giveaway on Twitter this week. So get thee over to Twitter at BufferingCast. Now, something just very briefly we want to touch on from last week. So last week we did Amends. We did Amends with Gabby Dunn, and we were looking at the episode in a particular lens because men, redemption, etc. And it was
just a rough time for a redemption story arc.
Right. It was great. And a lot of you were super stoked on it, as were we. I think it was a really fun way of sort of internalizing a story that may have been different because of context and what have you.
However,
some of you had wonderful things to share with us about this episode that I think are important to also talk about. So we just wanted to share a piece of an email from Jenny in Massachusetts.
Great name.
Great name, that I think touches on these points. So Jenny wrote in, I wanted to write in about Amends. First, I love Gabby and I understand her anger about men, but I didn't see the episode in the same mindset that she did. I didn't see it as a man redemption episode. Instead, I thought it was more closely a representation of someone struggling with depression and PTSD. I thought the song was a better representation of the message for the episode. And as a person who suffers from depression and PTSD, the song made me cry. Thank you for that message. Angel is hundreds of years old, but the years where he was a vampire shouldn't count towards his emotional age, since it was literally a demon and not him. Sure, he was 26 when he was turned, but it's shown that he wasn't emotionally mature at that age. He'd been ensouled for quite a number of years, but he was basically mindless and in pain until he was given his purpose of helping Buffy. So, Jenny, thank you for this. And Jenny actually wrote a longer email, and we have a few other really interesting emails. We're going to touch on those in our next Patreon mailbag. So if you don't know, on Patreon, if you're a $10 donor, you get bonus mailbags every month and a half or so, where we read just these brilliant emails that you all send to us. And so we'll share more of Jenny's email and some of your other emails about Angel and Amends. But I just thought that these 2 points were important to touch on. And I really do want to say that I think we should have touched on the mental health through lines of this episode as well. We really didn't. We got carried away with like men and
like sometimes
bullshit.
Gabby Dunn comes over and she's like on fire, and you're just like, well, I'm combustible. Let's do this.
Yes, but the themes of mental health that run through the show are really important, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about more of them as things go forward. But I just wanted to thank you, Jenny, and thank you to the many others of you who wrote in and said, this is how I feel about Angel, and I just want to make sure that like you understand that. We very much do. And we will talk about it more as the season progresses.
Also, we love Angel.
It's like,
just in case that was not clear.
Right. Like, it's like Angel is the character. Angel's like your like big brother who you're like, this guy, but at the end of the day, you're like, but this guy, So when you maybe listen to an episode and we're taking entirely the path of this fucking guy, just try to remember that we have a gift under our tree for Angel too.
Yes. And we'll try to remember that too.
Yes. So one last thing.
Oh my God.
Very important. Squeak, squeak, squeak. We have a guest in this episode, a very special guest. It is the rat who was on the set. No, it's not. It's not.
That rat is pretty comfortable saying.
Rat Amy.
R.I.P. Rat Amy. But real IRL Amy. Elizabeth Ann Allen is here to talk with us in this episode, and we are so excited that we got to speak with her. She was such a peach and so great, and we're really excited to share the conversation with you.
We are. So let's get into the dang episode.
Welcome to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, a podcast where, of course, we are watching every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer one at a time in sweet, sweet chronological order. My name is Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I'm Kristen Russo, and this is a spoiler-free podcast. We're going to say that up at the top from now on.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't, just in case there's some new people who just jumped right in season 3.
We're not talking forward.
We're not. This week, we are talking about season 3, episode 11, Gingerbread. I always want to say Moo. I think this is season faith episode Moo.
Valid.
By our classification.
Yes.
Stay tuned to the end of the podcast every week for an original song written by us recapping the Buffy episode we are discussing.
Gingerbread. Wow. The credits. The story was written by Jane Espenson, and Thania St. John. Thania St. John. Tania St. John.
Great.
If anybody knows, let us know. The teleplay then was written by Jane Espenson, and it was directed by James Whitmore Jr. and originally aired on January 12th, 1999. Welcome to 1999.
Welcome to 99, everybody. Oh, 98's my year, so I have like a special connection. 98's the year I graduated from high school. So like, every time we said 98, I was like 98. When we get to 2000, you'll feel that way, right? You graduated in 2000?
I did.
But 99, Buffy's year.
Yes.
So it's Buffy's year to graduate. God damn it. According to... Oh, did you have more credits?
No.
Okay.
No, that was all of them. Thank God.
I noticed in the credits that it said teleplay by Jane Espenson, and I maybe before that I just hadn't noticed it said who the story was by, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, listen, we're laymen here. We don't know what we're talking about, but you've got to imagine
Well,
that...
it seems like, because there really is a story. I mean, let me say the description and then we'll get into the damn episode.
Yes.
According to IMDb, this is the one where, after discovering the corpses of 2 young children bearing a symbol linked to the occult, Joyce spearheads a campaign to rid Sunnydale of witches.
Not a great look for Joyce in this episode.
No. It's a great hair look for Joyce in this episode.
Obviously, she looks literally
she looks
amazing.
Fantastic. But not a great,
Hate to see Joyce Summers leading a literal witch hunt.
Yeah. Before we get there, I just want to say that the teleplay, what I was saying before, it makes a little bit of sense to me because there's really a story. I mean, whatever, there's a story in every episode, of course. But the idea of like Hansel and Gretel being like these repetitious character, like I could see like maybe they crafted the story together, and then Jane Espenson was like, how do I fit this into a script?
Right. The message I'm getting from you is that I need to start having a lot of lunches with television writers and just like bombarding them with my amazing ideas.
Yes. Another idea you should get from me is that if you ever want to hear 2 people talk about how television is made who have never made any television, this is the place for you.
Yeah, and we certainly could have. There are people we could have asked.
Yeah, there
are
hitting
record.
But would that have been as fun?
No.
It would not have. Anyhow, yes, let's get into this episode. An episode with some serious, like, there's some disturbing shit in this episode. Can I get everybody excited about what's to come in this episode?
Would you please?
And I don't just mean a fashion update from Kate Leth, who's back with us this week, because we're going to get there. But we had the incredible pleasure of getting to speak with Elizabeth Ann fucking Allen.
My word.
Who plays, fucking is not part of her legal name. I added it because of excitement.
Right.
But yes, we got a chance to speak with her. We had a phone call with her where we talked to her all about playing Amy and how she, transformed into a rat. I mean, it was a whole discussion.
Yeah.
And so we're going to hear from her in this episode.
Yes.
She was, what we're coming to understand about every person on this damn show is that one is nicer than the next. Like every person that we speak to is just wonderful, gracious, kind, just the best. The best.
It's really out of control.
It really is a special thing.
Elizabeth Ann Allen was certainly no exception. What a peach.
Anyhow, let's get into the episode.
Good gravy. Perhaps, it's really early right out of the gates to be so disturbed, but man, that's a huge bag of snacks that Joyce brought to Buffy.
I'm glad you saw it because
she's got like a rotisserie chicken in there and like a pint of mac and cheese.
Hey, moms know how to make a snack. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's
moms
true.
Don't fuck around with snacks. I'll tell you what. I went to the beach for like every day of my whole young childhood because I lived on Long Island at that point in time, and my aunts, my mom, they could pack a goddamn snack. Grapes with pretzels. They would pack their own snacks that include pina coladas.
Sure.
They know how to make.
Yeah. Ants on a log.
You'd have leftover chicken. They'd make it into chicken salad.
Oh my
Put some
God.
fucking walnuts in that
there's
shit.
something about leftovers. There's also something about stuff that your mom makes.
Yes.
That like you don't normally have.
Something
but,
that
like,
anyone like something that a person that you love makes for you.
Oh yeah, what is it like to have someone you love make you food all the time?
Excuse me?
I'm just wondering. What's it
Excuse
like?
me.
What
Are you
is it
trying
like?
to, or is this the point where you, like Cordelia, say, that was a pointed comment about you're taking care of me? I make you things all the time, chicken salad included.
You did.
Tell them. They think I'm a horrible wife
No. I was talking to Sam, actually. What is it like?
Yeah, Sam, what
have
is it
people
like?
just feed you and dote on you and care for you all the time
Just
and have
so-
to do nothing in return.
Just so you all have a visual, Sam sits on the little couch next to me while we record, and while we're speaking, I am scratching her belly. She's licking my hand.
It's a whole human cat
it's
thing.
a whole thing. My first note from the episode is coats. Because
it's probably like 60 degrees out there.
It probably is 60 degrees out there. But we talk about Buffy's trench coat collection all the time. It's just like, it still astounds me every time that she's still wearing a trench coat. And Joyce is wearing it's not even a trench coat, but
it's January. Listen.
Yeah.
A lot of you people who don't live here in Southern California think that it doesn't get cold here, but it really does. And it's a different kind of cold that chills you to the bone because it's so
Oh
it's
God,
a dry
you can't,
cold.
Jenny. Here's what I've learned living in Los Angeles is when I didn't live in Los Angeles, I made fun of everybody in Los Angeles for being cold. And now that I live here, I've tried a couple times to do what you're doing, to say, but you don't
not worth
understand.
it.
It's not worth it because you know what? When I was on the other side, I could have never heard me talking to me. Nope. And
it's no use. You'll never understand us.
And we made a joke of it literally in our rendition of Buffy. It's cold outside just last week.
Right. Okay, so back to Mr. Sanderson from the bank. I love that Joyce can recognize Mr. Sanderson even though he's got fresh vamp face.
Yeah. Joyce can see right through that vamp face. Mr. Sanderson from the bank. Also, like, Joyce's role in this is very amazing. Like, you know, like, so, honey, kill him, you know? Or like, he's over here now. You know, I wish.
She's there to be supportive. She's clearly, like, trying to help, thinks she's helping, is not helping.
It's not helping, but
at
I
all.
wish we would get a few more scenes of Joyce trying to help Buffy. You know, like, this is it's just a great exchange.
Yeah.
And then we go to what I call Drew's playground.
Oh my gosh. The first time we were watching this, Kristen was like, this used to be Drew's playground.
Okay, that was a horrible rendition of the song.
How does the melody go?
It goes, this used to be Drew's playground. Used to be. This used to be Drew's childhood dream. I think I actually changed the lyrics when I first sang it.
Wow.
To be like, this is the place she ran to whenever she wanted kids to scream.
Right.
Something like that.
Something like that. It's good to know that I can successfully get you to sing something by singing it wrong.
Oh, sure. Like you did that on purpose. Slowly over the course of the next 8 years with this podcast, you'll learn that I'm the true singer. I have a note about Joyce's hair looking incredible. And my notes are Drew's playground, Joyce's hair looks amazing, and then dead kids. And then credits. That was the extent of the notes that I took.
Yeah, there's two little kids.
Yeah, and I mean, I did write dead kids for a reason because I would have remembered that there were two dead kids. But I wanted to talk about the fact that I think what I said to Jenny while we were watching is this is the first time we've seen dead kids. And she said, well, we did see the anointed one
get killed.
There was a through line of dead a plot line of dead kids in Der Kinderstadt. I'm gonna Der Kinder stop you. That
right,
whatever
course.
that one's called.
But we never saw any of those.
But we
kids.
didn't see.
We just heard about
dead.
it.
We just heard about her cousin dying. We heard we sort of saw it about to happen, but we never saw a dead kid.
Right.
So it is a big deal. It's a big deal for us as viewers. It's a big deal for Sunnydale as a populace.
Apparently, it's a really big deal for Sunnydale.
Very big deal. And so, and this is not to get into deep too fast here, but this is a thing, right? This is how our society functions. It's always save the children. The children are, and it's called out a little bit in this episode because Buffy's I know that it's fucked up that kids died, but what did Mr. Sanderson have it coming? You know what I mean? Why does it become there's this combination of innocence and
right.
And I understand. I'm certainly not advocating for children to die here, but I think it's important to look at the way that themes like this are pulled out in our society to get people to act in mob mentality ways. And I'm thinking specifically of pro-life movements and things like this that it becomes such a panic that children are innocent and cannot help themselves, so we must help them, that it really has ignited in this country and plenty of other countries across the world mentalities like we see in this episode. So sorry, I know. You just settled in.
Kristen
You're ready
just
for a
wants the
laugh.
kids to die.
Down with children. Down with children. There's a theory book that I read when I was in grad school called No Future by, I think, Lee Edelman. And it really stuck with me because one of the big through lines in this book talks about, I think it's the book where he talks about Scrooged and like the figure of like the old man, like the old lonely man always being evil, and like the plight of children and do it for the children being like, these like tropes that we see in the world that
Right.
really root so much of what we see people going after. That is not always great. Oftentimes, most times, not great, not so great. Lee Edelman, No Future, Gender Theory, brought to you in the first 5 minutes of your fun-loving podcast, Buffering the Vampire Slayer. Hooray!
So, Joyce is so shook up. We see Buffy kind of like be in the mom role here, where she's just like, I'm gonna take care of it. Like, I promise I'm gonna like figure out who hurt these kids, and like, you don't have anything to worry about, and comforting Joyce.
Yeah.
And then immediately we cut to her in the library with Giles, and she's like, I'm flipping out!
Yeah, I loved that.
Yes, totally.
I really, I liked how they really underlined how
the emotional hierarchy of the Summers and Giles dynamic.
Totally, right? Buffy takes care of Joyce, and Giles takes care of Buffy.
Aww.
Who's taking care of Giles?
I
Cordelia. Yes. So I love when we first come out of the credits and we go back to the playground, there's this really awesome photography scene. It's like they use the black and white police photos to sort of establish the kids and the symbols on the kids. And I just thought it was like a really nice edit.
Very effective.
Yeah, very effective. Really made it feel like a crime scene for once. The Sunnydale police are following procedure of some kind.
Just this one time, just for the kids.
And something before we move away from that playground scene with Buffy and Joyce, I just want to call out a quote where Joyce says to Buffy, and we hear this throughout the episode, right? You can't make it right, Joyce says. Like, you can't make it right. And we'll get into more of what Joyce has to say to Buffy later, but I just want to say that's like and you see it on Buffy's face. Like,
yeah.
A few of the things that Joyce says to her really are pulling out some internal conflicts that she's having.
Wait, what do you mean? What kind of internal conflict do you feel like is playing out on Buffy's face right there?
Well, I think that she's wanting to comfort her mom, but she understands that what Joyce is saying is there's pieces of truth in it, that she can't make those kids come back to life. That and then later, fine, I'll just get into it right now.
Sure.
Jenny. So there's this, like, Joyce is saying later on, you don't have a plan, you just react to things. Basically, like, the bad is just going to keep coming. Like, what are you going to do? You're not rooting out the evil, you're just fighting the evil. And then and that's why she has this scene with Angel. And I think we'll talk about this more when we get to the scene, but it's meaningful in that I think Buffy is going through a little bit of a reckoning with this, not with the mob mentality and the fighting against, but burning people at the stake and going through students' lockers and things like that. But I think she's having a little bit of a reckoning with, what am I doing? And Angel, and we'll talk about it when we get there, because I want to talk about what Angel says to Buffy and all that good stuff. But let's
Sure.
For now, we went to the library. We saw the green mug. We see it.
Yeah.
We see it all
What's
the
up,
time
mug?
now, but I just want to it's our favorite
It's
mug.
nice to see
So
it.
speaking of our mug, I don't know if you noticed, but we have a new Giles pin that is sold faster than any pin that we have had ever.
Oh, Randy for Giles, just flying off the shelves.
Flying off the shelves. So if you did miss that, it's in our store, bufferingthevampireslayer.com. Click on shop, and if there are any left, they will be there for you if you too are Randy for Giles.
Meanwhile, poor Xander.
Wow,
on the lunch line,
a phrase uttered
with Oz.
so infrequently in this podcast.
I know, but he's having such a time. He's just crushed under the weight of his own guilt, and also I think he's had it with being crushed under the weight of his own guilt and projecting, whatever. I mean, Oz is he's a blanket of new fallen snow. You could project whatever you want onto Oz, and it can be made very believable.
100%. I was gonna say you can project whatever you want into Oz, but boy, was I not gonna give us that beautiful visual of a blanket of fallen snow. But right, if you think Oz is mad at you, it can seem like Oz is mad at you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you think Oz is in love with you, totally, you can put that there too. You know?
So getting to watch, this interaction between Xander and Oz, where Xander's basically just like flailing all his tentacles everywhere, like not knowing what to say, is pretty funny.
Yeah, and it's a good episode for Oz and Xander. They have their own
they
little
come
arc.
together by the end.
They do. They come together and fall right through a ceiling together. It's very endearing.
But hey, Amy got a haircut.
We're going to hear about Amy's haircut in our interview with Elizabeth and Alan very soon. But looking great, Goth Amy. That's what I have to say.
100%.
Right?
Yes. And so Buffy pops up to the table, right, and sits down with everyone. And she's telling them about, like, what happened at the playground. And she's like, my mom, like, she's wigging. And Joyce swoops in and is like, who's wigging? Joyce, wigging. You know what I mean? She's like, wigging, asking who's wigging.
Yeah, also, like, she literally only came to school to talk to Buffy. Like, she just came by?
She wasn't there to spread the word, right? She already called everyone she knows.
Yeah, so she was just there to be like, did this stuff, honey. I am involved. I am so involved. And we also get the first seedlings of hearing about Willow's mom. When Buffy sits down, Willow's like, it sucks that your mom's getting so involved, but it's nice that your mom is involved. Like your mom would, your mom would take the time to go patrolling with you. I know that's an inconvenience, but it's so sad. And there's also this wonderful moment with Joyce and the witches. Right? When she's like, I think it's witches. And Willow and Amy are both like, everyone on this show knows how to play it cool.
Yeah, everybody's doing great. And then, like, Buffy is like, well, let me get Joyce out of here because she's freaking everybody out. Mm-hmm. They go out into the hallway. They're talking, and, like, Joyce is like, I told everyone. And Buffy's like, oh, great. But actually, when we're investigating something, we usually try to keep it on the whatever. And I just, like, had this extreme moment. I don't know if we talked about this before, but, like, in that conversation, Buffy's a Rachel? Buffy is a Rachel from Friends? Yes!
Go on.
I don't know, just, like, her inflection and mannerism and the pausing and, like, everything that she does, which made me think, like, in a larger context, is Buffy a Rachel?
Wow. Well, I'm a Rachel.
I don't even know what a Rachel is.
I'm a Rachel-Monica hybrid.
Well, I know about your Monica parts.
Yeah. Wow. What's that supposed to mean?
I just know that Monica likes to be in control of factors.
Getting fucking deep here today on buffering the vampire.
Kristen Russo is the master of her own destiny, and she sees what she wants the shape of the world to be, and then she makes it happen.
That's true. That is true.
You're a very powerful woman.
You all got to hear the way that Jenny gets out of getting in trouble live on air. Yeah, what I was trying to say is you're powerful and you look pretty today.
I mean, we know Xander is Chandler. That's all. That's all I know for sure. And we don't have to talk about it anymore right now. But for those of you who watch the episode after you listen to us, just watch Buffy talking to her mom in that hallway and think about Rachel Green. So, boy, Willow's mom doesn't know Buffy's name.
Yo, Willow's mom, Sheila.
It's such a bummer. Sheila,
she is, I know Sheilas. Do you know Sheilas in your life?
Yeah.
Right? Like, people who, here's the thing, is like, Sheila has a lot to say. She has a lot to say. She's very smart. She's very studied. She has opinions about, can we just go there? Because my favorite Sheila line in the whole damn episode is when she's talking to Willow later on, and she says, I didn't want you watching Mr. Rogers because of the patriarchal bias. Or Willow says, you didn't want me watching Mr. Rogers because of the patriarchal bias. And Sheila comes back with, well, King Friday was just lording over all of those other puppets. And so I have a little soft spot for Sheila. Let's give a patriarchy jingle out to Sheila. The patriarchy! think that you'd get a jingle, did you, Willow's mom? But you got one for your sweet patriarchal call out. Does anybody else remember King Friday as much as I do?
I just mostly from watching this episode.
I looked up just like hearing it, I was like, I could see the picture of King Friday in my mind.
Right. You looking at that picture, that the puppet's a lot freakier than I remember it. I thought I was picturing a yarn kind of puppet.
No, very realistic, but also not. Anyway, what I was going to say about Willow's mom is that she knows all this stuff. She knows a lot of science and a lot of facts, and she sort of is like applying that to her parenting, but is just not paying attention to any of what is actually right in front of her.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just a bummer. It reminded me too of sometimes like working with people. This is outside of a parenting environment, but working with people who do activism work or who are like in grad school or going to get their doctorates, where they're so steeped in the theory that you can't have a conversation with them about like how the theory applies to actual life, and that there's no
like praxis, you mean?
Yeah, I taught Jenny this word because it was like my favorite word that I ever learned in grad school was when I was learning about a ton of theory. I was really frustrated because I felt like I didn't understand how it applied, and I took this one class and my professor talked about praxis, which is like when you apply theory to real life, then it's praxis and it becomes something different. Of course, none of us can live in the world of theory. I mean, theory is just a bunch of words put together to help crack our brains open so we can like process reality differently. But Willow's mom is stuck in that place. She's just sort of like off in the clouds and is unable to like take what she's learning, really important, cool stuff, like about like the way her kid is growing up and like things that her kid is going through. Like that's all useful information, but your kid isn't a textbook. Right, which is what Willow is trying so desperately. And it's heartbreaking, like the way that Willow is trying to talk to her mom. Because Willow, what we see, I think, a couple of times in this episode is like Buffy is like really parenting Joyce. And we see Willow really like parenting her mother in the sense of like she's the one that's saying, hey, mom, I'm right here. Normally you wouldn't see that. Normally you see the parent saying, I'm right here. What do you want to talk about? And the kid's like, screw you. Don't leave me alone.
Right.
And Willow's not like that. Anyhow, let's go back to the vigil. I guess we're very excited
Sheila
about this episode.
thinks Buffy's name is Bunny. Bunny Summers.
Which is a great name.
Great name.
It is a great name. And a very important moment here at the vigil, maybe the most important of the whole episode. Mrs. Joyce, first of all, is what Giles calls Joyce because he's so flummoxed.
Yeah, he's having a time.
Mrs. Joyce, not since and then Sheila, I think, says something about there being rumors and
he's
Giles,
like, rumors about
rumors.
No. Oh, yes, witches. Yes, let's discuss.
I think the town motto of Sunnydale is, Sunnydale, we don't play it cool. You know, none of them can hold it together.
I feel like the mayor does a great job of being a believable, compassionate mayor.
Yes, never again, says the mayor.
Yep,
never again shall we see anything like this. We'll take action.
Very sober.
And then Joyce takes the stage.
Joyce.
And let's play a part of Joyce's speech. I just think it's really great. I think what she says is even though it's rooted in something it's going to take a terrifying turn. I think we should talk about it.
I was supposed to lead us in a moment of silence, but silence is this town's disease. For too long, we've been plagued by unnatural evils. This isn't our town anymore. It belongs to the monsters and the witches and the slayers. I say it's time for the grown-ups to take Sunnydale back. I say we start by finding the people who did this and making them pay.
Right, so here's what
Strong start.
Yes.
Not gonna take a moment of silence because silence is this town's disease.
Right?
Great.
Amen, Joyce. Like that's a great stance. If you take it by itself, if you just carry it.
But you know what's
here,
not great?
No. What? Tell me.
This town isn't ours anymore. It belongs to the monsters and the witches and the slayers. How dare you, Joyce?
Right?
How dare you? How many times has Buffy saved your life.
Yeah. Joyce goes real. I mean, that was we tweeted out about the fact that we were recording this episode, and so many of you said, like, I'm just upset that Joyce turned so, like, she turned such a hard corner. But it's underlining what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, is just like this mob mentality, and how when you infuse people's fears, and like Joyce is a mother, and
Right.
before Hansel and Gretel circa 1649 start telling her to do things, the catalyst for her is seeing those children in the playground that they have died.
Right.
And I mean, that would affect anyone, but this is playing on Joyce's fears. We've seen how afraid Joyce is of Buffy dying, of losing her child.
Mhm.
And so those are the things that are informing her. And so she feels that the best thing that she can do, and you kind of, like, I kind of have an understanding at this point in the episode of what she's doing. She's saying, screw this, just what you were talking about me being a Monica. You know, she's saying, like, I have to do this. Nobody else is going to do it, and people are dying, and I need to get involved.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have gotten involved, but I get
It's regrettable.
I get why. I get, like, at this juncture, I get why she is doing the things that she's doing, and feeling like it's so important that she say the things that she's saying.
Yeah, also, I feel like this show wouldn't be doing its job if we didn't see Joyce turn on Buffy at least one time.
Right, totally. And well, this is time number 2, at least, that Joyce has turned on Buffy. I mean, she threw her out of the damn house at the end of last season.
Right.
So we've seen,
Right.
I mean,
Let us never forget.
Let's
So then we are made to believe and feel that something evil is going on. And first we see, who's this goth guy in black lipstick? And then, oh my God, he's with Amy. And then, oh my God, it's Willow. And they're all wearing black robes and casting spells with lots of bones laying around. And the symbol that was on the children's hand is in the middle of them. It's huge on the floor. Huge. Whose floor is that?
I know.
Who's going to clean that up?
It's really beautifully done, I think. They did a great job on the symbol. But right, gasp. And then I'm sure we cut to commercial if we're watching in the 90s.
Yes.
But instead of cutting to commercial, we've met Michael, haven't we? Michael looking great in that black lipstick. And I think now we should cut to Kate Laugh.
It's time for our friend Kate to give you the Buffy fashion update.
Welcome back to Buffy Fashion Watch. Let me preface this by saying this is not a great episode for fashion. It's a great episode for, weird dead demon children and an exploration of mob mentality, but there's not a lot going on outside of Willow's red overalls and Cordelia's faux fur-necked sweater, which is pretty choice. So I want to take a moment to talk about my favorite character in this episode, Michael. Sunnydale High's only goth. He shows up for a minute, but what a minute it is. From his box-dyed black hair to his well-blended eyeliner, despite what anyone says, he's the star of the show for me. And he's rocking a look a lot of people have trouble with. Black lipstick. So I thought I'd take a second to talk about how to achieve this oft-imitated but challenging makeup look.
Wow!
If your lips are chapped, try a lip scrub first. Black lipstick or any dark lipstick is going to accentuate that. So give that a shot, wipe it off, and then put on a non-greasy lip balm like Burt's Bees and blot off any extra with a tissue. Next step is one you may have to try a few times before you nail it, which is lip liner. With dark lipsticks, I highly recommend liner. You don't need it, but it keeps your lipstick from spreading and makes it look just a little bit more professional. If you can't find a black lip liner, although NYX has one for about $4 that I really like, that's NYX, they're great. You can use a black pencil eyeliner. Just make sure to sharpen it and wipe it with a makeup remover or alcohol before and after so you don't spread germs between your eyes and mouth. That's gross. When you've finished, apply your black lipstick. I like to use a lip brush for control over the application, but it's not necessary. When your first coat is on, blot again with a tissue, and then apply another. The last step, which is optional, but recommended, is to dust on a setting powder to really lock in that color and keep it from smudging. I use a Ben Nye powder I got for Halloween makeup, but everyone from MAC to Neutrogena sells them. They're really useful too if you find yourself getting sweaty throughout the day or you use cream makeup. Just a tip. Another hot tip for this and any lip color is to put your thumb between your lips and press down, then pull it out, then wipe it off with a tissue. It sounds perverted, but I swear, there's a point. It actually takes off all the lipstick on the inside of your lip, which is what keeps it from getting on your teeth. I do this all the time, and it really works. Once you have all that done, voila, you're rocking a next level goth look, which I feel everybody should try even once, no matter what your skin tone or your fashion sense. It's really fun, and it makes you feel a little more daring for a while. If you are going to wear it, bring your lipstick and your liner with you outside. Don't try to eat chicken wings. Trust me on this one. Until next time, I'll see you at the mall.
That was our friend Kate. She gave you the Buffy fashion update.
Kate left. God bless us, everyone.
Goth bless us, everyone.
It's always just an inspiration, really. I learned so much.
Yeah, Jenny is about to
when
leave
we
and
first
go apply.
listened. Oh my God, when we first listened to this edition of Buffy Fashion Watch, starring Kate Leth, Kristen and I were like sitting in different parts of the room and texting Kate while we were listening to it, and we realized that we individually like put our thumbs into our mouths and like pressed our lips down like she instructs you to do. Separately, not looking at each other, we were both just like testing it out, like, oh, interesting. It was very effective.
So what we're saying is Kate Leth got both of us to suck our thumbs.
That's what happened.
She's tricking us. She's tricking us all.
Yeah, and that was totally the first time that's happened.
So thank you, Kate, for that beautiful lipstick lesson.
Yes.
So we come out and we go to school and we see now the bullies are the parenting is trickling down. The trickle down effect is happening. Parents are telling their kids witches are the reason for all of this shit. And the kids are going to school and they're like, I know who the fucking witches are. They're the kids in black lipstick. Of course.
Sure, of course.
We're always so identifiable. You know, why do we do that? I say, as a former goth teen who also was a witch. I was. Have I talked about it on the podcast?
Certainly, yes.
Yes, I practiced Wicca. I could also call on the elements.
Did you float any pencils?
I could never float a pencil, but watching Willow, I'm like, maybe I didn't take that shit far enough, you know? Because I do believe I carry within me the power to do those things.
You certainly carry a great deal of power within you.
I think I could make a pencil spin, but then I get scared of it. My thing was that I always got scared of it, you know? Like,
right.
As I would feel like energy, I would be like, nah, I don't think so. Never mind. I would like tap dance out of the room. Yeah, no, thank you, witchcraft. So the bullies are after Michael, and Amy stands up for Michael, and the bully's
and dude's like, you're next.
Right?
Get
he doesn't
in my
even
face,
fucking hesitate. I think Amy thought she was gonna play the I'm a girl card.
Right.
And the bully was like, oh yeah? Fucking
the patriarchy recedes into the background.
Witches have no gender here, is basically
what
what the bully said. And then Buffy, I love this moment.
So great.
Because we don't really see how Buffy relates to the rest of the school very
Most of the
often.
time. Yeah,
you know, we've seen her defend people here and there, but like, has the rumor gotten out? And it's confirmed in this scene that yes, it has. The rumor has fucking gotten out. She doesn't lift a finger. She just fucking like leans over and looks at this guy. And he's like, we were just leaving.
No problem here.
Right. It's just great.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. And if you have sensitive skin, you're going to want to hear about their scientifically proven topical supplements. Free from over 1,500 chemicals and preservatives that can make skin red, irritated, or itchy, their products are safe for sensitive skin. It's just one of the reasons they've earned the skin-safe seal of approval.
They've also earned the Jenny Owen Youngs and Kristen Russo seal of approval, if I do say so myself, Jenny.
I couldn't agree more. I've been using OneSkin for a few months, and after a few weeks, I remember it like it was yesterday. I texted Kristen, and I was like, maybe she's born with it. I looked in the mirror that morning and was like, oh, things are happening, and I am happy.
I have used a million billion skin products, and I did not think that I was going to switch off of the skin like lotion, the moisturizer that I used and the under eye cream that I use, because I have used them for a little while and I really like them. And I've switched completely, which is a pretty big deal. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and if you can, please tell them that we sent you.
Hello, my name is Alison Larkin, and I'm a writer, comedian, and narrator and host of the Jane Austen podcast. This podcast brings Jane Austen's stories to the 21st century, along with commentary from me and conversations with fascinating people who all share a love of Jane Austen. And of course, we had to start with none other than Pride and Prejudice. So join me as we embark on a journey through some of the most wonderful stories I know. The Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hello, I'm Simon Jack.
And I'm Zing Sing.
And together we host Good Bad Billionaire, the podcast exploring the minds, the motives and the money of some of the world's richest individuals.
Every episode we pick a billionaire and we find out how they made their money.
And then we judge them. Are they good, bad, or just another billionaire?
Good Bad Billionaire from the BBC World Service.
Listen now wherever you get your BBC podcasts.
Right. So Cordelia has a warning for Buffy, kind of. She's like, stay away from the witches because you'll, have no rest if you're watching their backs because people are coming for them.
Right.
That's what happens when you hang out with losers. That was a pointed comment.
Yeah, believe me, I know.
Which also we should say is mean. It's very mean, but it's also very funny.
It's so funny because it's really Cordelia has a great episode this episode.
The doubling down to say, just so you know, I'm insulting you.
Right, because Buffy's like not affected by it enough for Cordelia's liking. So then we go and Xander and Buffy have this conversation about illicit smooches. Who cares? I mean, sorry, I just didn't care. Whatever. I get it. We're progressing along a plot line, but
yes,
I would like to get to the part where Buffy uncovers the symbol.
In Willow's notebook.
Right, in Willow's notebook. And Willow doesn't know to be worried because Willow's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And Willow has this great line, which let's play Willow's line here.
What is this? A doodle? I do doodle. You too. You do doodle too.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I do doodle. I doodle. I do doodle doodle. You can doodle too, doodle. A doodle doodle do.
Kristen.
It's good.
That is not what she said. So, Buffy's suspicions are peaked, but she doesn't have time to get into it because, oh my God, it's a locker search!
Yeah, yo, this is fucked up.
Did this ever happen at your school for any reason?
Yeah. We had, it didn't happen like this, where they searched everyone's locker.
They would just go into a specific person's
there
locker?
Is
that better or worse?
Well, it was always like somebody said somebody brought a gun to school, and then they would...
It was always that? That happened, like, a lot?
Well, it didn't happen a lot. I mean, I remember it I think I just remember it happen. It happened more than one time.
Right.
And then they would, like, search that student's locker. P.S. They never found any guns, as far as I know. It was always, like... People would like talk,
right?
Yeah, they would like talk, and that was like the protocol. So they would go into lockers, which I feel like is a legitimate reason to maybe open a locker. I think if there's any reason, that would be one.
I mean, you shouldn't. Buffy makes a point about like lockers and privacy and whatever,
right?
Which, okay. But by her logic, you should be able to like keep a gun in your locker if you feel, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that, right, fine. But I think that what she's saying, and that's why I even hesitated about like, I guess that's a legitimate reason to search a locker because, people could be in danger. But that's essentially what the reasoning is for this locker search is like they feel people are in danger from witches, to different situation. But still, and I think Buffy's point, I mean, Snyder has this, yes.
I'm sorry, I just want to be very clear, like, I don't want to be surveilled. I don't want to be searched. I don't want anybody in my business.
Right.
At all. I'm not saying like, this feels fine. I'm just saying don't be an idiot and take something to school that you very clearly should not have there.
Right. Which does not include herbs, which you should be able to have.
Yeah, you should be able to have some sage in your locker, you freaks.
But it is like, Snyder has this comment where he's like, glorious day for principals everywhere. Ugh. No whining about students' rights.
Ugh.
And Buffy later on to Joyce says, like, the first fucking syllable in this word is lock. Like, and it really pulls out a larger problem, which is how we disrespect the privacy of young people. That like we tell them like you know you have to grow up and become an adult, but then at the same token there's really lines are crossed when it comes to high school students, middle school students, young people in general, that would not be crossed in the way that they are if it were an office building and, you know, a group of adults. There's really a power play here of like, we're the grownups and you're the kids. So even though we told you this is your locker and your property, it's not. And that's fucked up.
Do you remember, like, in high school, like, having a perception that, like, eventually you would be an adult and in a position of power?
Yeah, and now I realize that was a lie. I will never feel like an adult at all. I will always feel like I am in high school. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it just feels the same. It's just that now I have to pay bills.
Yes.
Anyhow, they take Amy. And then they take Willow. But before they take Willow, we find out that Cordelia uses imported $45 hairspray.
What did you think she uses?
Yeah, you're right. Who would ever see Cordelia at a CVS?
I know, never. But
Tisk,
also,
tisk.
the police confiscated a huge bunch of garlic. Garlic!
Yeah, I mean,
the most precious of all spices, herbs.
Really? Is that your declaration or just a general opinion in the spice
It's just
community?
a very important piece of produce, and how dare you, sir? How
They're taking
dare you?
everything that's not a school book, I think. You know, not a pencil or a school book.
Right, which leads us directly into the next scene where, listen, Giles, I told you. I told you. The public school library is absolutely no place for books about blood rights. It really is not how you fool. You should have seen it coming. This is so many things happen in this room,
Jenny,
and I understand it's for the sake of convenience and whatever. But we're always having meetings in the library at night when vampires can bust in.
Students, they have to, like, there has to be a central location that they can justifiably be. They can't just always be going to Giles's house because people would be suspicious.
No, but
it's not Giles's fault. It's the police's fault. Down with the police, up with the librarians. That's what I say.
I am all for up with Giles. 100%. I'm just saying, like, maybe not the best move.
Right. Fine. But you know what?
Out in the open. Like, all that's left is the dictionary and My Friend Flicka.
I agree.
Right,
My Friend
Flicka.
A book we looked up. It's about a book about a horse. So, but here's the thing. You're making a lot of points, but you're like playing devil's advocate. And I feel like at the end of the day, our podcast stance is that fuck censorship and fuck raiding people's lockers and fuck all that shit. And I know
100%.
I know you feel that way, but you keep being
course
like,
I do.
but I told you, Giles, maybe you shouldn't have had the books there. And you're like, but it's school, so you shouldn't trust anybody to put a locker. And I'm just saying, watch it, Jennifer.
I'm just saying, Big Brother is watching you. Make smarter choices.
God.
To protect your book collection.
Speaking of Big Brother, in walks Snyder.
Oh my God.
In walks Snyder on this line that Jenny and I could not understand what Giles was saying, and so we had to look it up. And he says, "Twisted little homunculus."
Yes.
That's how you pronounce it. And we looked it up, and it comes from, what do you call it? Apothecary?
Uh-huh.
Apothecary. And it's like in apothecarian times. No. And this is great, guys. And when you practiced apothecary in the olden days, they would paint pictures of tiny, just little pictures of people on the bottles. And so this lore came up around it of these small bottle-sized people,
miniature human
homunculuses. Beings. So this is like a fucking librarian dig and a half.
Yeah,
this is one of those digs that you don't even know is a dig.
Yeah,
you're like, what did you just sneeze?
I don't even recognize the
what
word you just said, so I won't be able to remember it to look it up to see if you insulted me or not.
But then, guys, Snyder says to Giles, "So fierce." He fucking literally should have a hanky. He's holding a hanky to his chest. "So fierce, librarian. So fierce, Mr. Giles." I put them in the running for a sexual attention
they're
award
nominated, noted
for this scene.
And then, of course, on his way out, Snyder drops the bomb that there's a new organization in town calling the shots. They're called Moo.
Moo.
Mothers opposed to the occult.
Fucking moo.
And Buffy's like, what fucking jackwagon came up with that acronym? And Snyder's like,
your mom.
Your mom. Oh no, Joyce, too involved.
Right, so
Too
involved. Joyce is busy hanging up all of her posters of dead children around her house. Before we go there, we go to Willow's. And this is the scene we've already sort of talked about here, but it's just like, it's such a bummer. I got a sad emoticon from me in my notes.
Oh.
Because it's just sad to see how disaffected her mom is about like any of the emotions that she's feeling. I'm not an age group. I'm the Willow group.
Yeah, so Willow's parents are both therapists, right?
I believe that's the deal. I believe
Must
that's
be
the
tough
deal.
to have therapists for parents. Well, I guess it's either tough or like really great or like maybe great and tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that people can be therapists and still
be human
people.
beings.
You know, I have a feeling those two things can overlap.
Yeah.
But luckily, I mean, I would want for Willow to have a wonderful home life. But the one good thing that comes out of her mom being totally disaffected is her going on this "I'm a rebel" rant. Come fill me with your black naughty evil. She says she has like this whole big wonderful monologue, and one of the best parts, I think. Do you know what it is, Jenny?
Yes, I
tell
think I do.
us.
Well, she's listing all the things that she is and can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a rebel, I'm having a rebellion, I'm a witch, I can make pencils float, I can summon the 4 elements, well 2, but I'm working on it and soon it'll be 4. And I'm dating a musician, which is the only part that gets a response from Sheila Rosenberg, which
Willow.
Willow. Like, you're just saying things to hurt me now.
Right. Oh, it's
How
good.
dare you, Sheila?
Wow.
You know what?
What?
My 3-word review of this entire episode is, how dare you?
I thought it was going to be 4. How dare you, Sheila?
No, because it's not just limited to
it's not.
Sheila. I'm like, how dare you, everyone?
Yes. So speaking of how dare you, here we are with Joyce getting called out by Buffy on her fucking choice of acronym, which is nice.
Acronym, hilarious. But also, like, what the fuck, Mom? We need those books to find the fucking people or beings responsible for the death of these children you claim to be so concerned about.
Right.
How could you take away our resources?
And
What's
then
wrong with you?
Then we learn that Joyce is not just going off the deep end here. Joyce is being spoken to by evil babies.
Creepy dead children.
Yo,
hanging around in the house.
Ooh, a lot of powder on their faces.
Yeah,
they
great
are
job.
creepy.
Great job being total creeps. And then they have this whole conversation where Joyce is like, evil, pops up, but like, and then you undo it, but like, are you really making Sunnydale better? Like, you defeat evil and then there's more evil, so
right.
like, you're not as effective as maybe what she thinks M.O.O is going to be,
right,
by burning all the books,
right. And this is what we were talking about earlier, which gets us to the next scene at This used to be Drew's playground. That's the full title of the playground, not Drew's playground. It's the title of the playground as This used to be Drew's playground.
One thing about being 243 years old is that maybe you've gained some greater perspective on the never-ending cycles of human existence, right? And things that matter and don't matter. And what Angel's able to bring to Buffy in this moment where she's feeling like, what am I even doing with my life? He's able to say, yeah, evil never goes away, but we fight because we have to. Like, we don't fight to like be done fighting.
Right.
We fight because there are things worth fighting for, which I think is like really impactful and definitely what Buffy needs to hear in the moment.
What Buffy needs to hear and what we all need to hear, right? I mean, it is. It's just so this show is timely, I'm sure, no matter when you watch it, but it's very timely right now, and I think it's important, right? We can never rid all of the bad from the world, which is what Joyce is suggesting M.O.O can do.
Right.
I mean, M.O.O
with
didn't
an
really get
acronym like that, you might clear a room pretty quick of evil.
But the idea that we always have to keep fighting. I mean, Angel quotes our song, right, in this episode.
Right. He's a big fan of our podcast.
He loves it. Angel loves Buffering the Vampire Slayer. He's like, just keep fighting by his fireplace. He's singing. He's got his fucking vamp headphones in.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Right?
Yes. Also, I feel like we're led to believe by the beginning of this scene that Buffy and Angel just ran into each other at the playground. And then they have this exchange. I didn't know I'd see you here. And then they have this little thing where Angel says, "Oh, I've heard about this. People are talking. People are even talking to me," which I really liked because it made me think about like every time every time since I've been alive, like, and something awful has happened,
Right.
something, either local or global that has been, a catastrophe of some kind, the way that people start talking to each other, that's like so different from the way that we interact with each other when it's just a regular day, when there's something terrible that we can all look at and say, oh God, that just like, that's just the worst. That's like breaking my heart. When we're able to connect with other people in those instances, I think obviously it's terrible when terrible things happen, but being able to like being in those situations and connecting with people on that level in the wake of tragedy is like it's a very unique experience.
Yeah, gosh, that is so much more in depth and wonderfully put than my note, which was people are talking. Where were you, Angel? I was like, who the fuck is Angel talking to? What's
in line for blood at the butcher,
right? Like I just
you pig's feet? Yeah. You blood, lots of blood.
Hear about those kids?
So anyway, hear about those
this
dead
used
kids?
to be Drew's playground. Yeah. Like, I love the idea. It's like I wish we just got a whole show about Angel. It would just be great. I wish that would happen for us.
Yeah, I wonder if that's in the cards.
I really wonder. Oh, the other thing that I want to talk about in this scene before we go is Duck Dyke Dam.
Duck Dyke Dam.
Duck Dyke Dam. Buffy thinks there's a finger in a duck.
Right.
And Angel says, no, it's a dike. And
Buffy's
Buffy
like,
is
what?
She's like, what did you say, Faith? No, what? Who said dike? Oh, God.
I wish you all could have seen the gestures and the like head turns that Kristen just did while she impersonated Buffy. She even grabbed the brim of her baseball cap and like sort of doffed it a little bit. It was great.
Like, I mean, really, truthfully, I just like that this was a call out to the fact that like the word dyke is a thing, and I think that word is a bit controversial, right? Like that. Some people use it for themselves.
Oh, you mean D-Y-K-E?
Yeah, that's why Buffy responds the way she
Right. I thought you were saying the word D-I-K-E.
Yeah,
that's
very controversial. Water conservation.
Damn. And
no, I just think that like that's a word that I think you and I say pretty comfortably because we're within a community and we're used to hearing people affirmingly refer to themselves as dykes. We go to the Dyke March. We see dykes on bikes, lead the parade off.
Yeah.
We like the word. The word, it feels good to us, but it's a word that's also rooted similarly to queer. It had like a derogatory meaning to it historically. So that's I think why it jars Buffy. But we will never know how deeply that jar went, will we? That's all I'm saying.
So then Giles is trying to use a computer. Giles is trying to use a computer, and he can't do it.
Oh, because Jenny Calendar isn't there to help him.
Because Jenny Calendar isn't there to help him, and also computers are a stupid, useless fad.
Yes,
as we all know.
Said it. And then Xander has what may be my favorite Xander joke to date.
Yes.
Right? Oh, you're in the Frisky Watchers chat room, Giles? Great joke, Xander. Fucking A+, man.
Great. And then Buffy pops in because she just was with Angel, and he was like, "Oh, their parents." And she's like, "Their parents? That gives me an idea."
Yes.
And we realize nobody knows anything about these kids.
And that's how we learn about this whole Hansel and Gretel thing. And I just think this is really fucking cool. Like, I loved the looping in of a fairy tale that we all know as the through line of this story. It's just really, I just thought like, yeah, it's just nicely done.
Oh my gosh. That is like one of my favorite things when a piece of media I already enjoy incorporates something else I know, like, that's like in my DNA story-wise, and like looks at it from another angle. It's so awesome. If you are into this kind of thing, let me just take a moment, just one moment, to recommend Neil Gaiman's Sandman series, in which that is done so masterfully, so many times, with like so many different stories throughout history, so well. He's so good at everything. I love him, and it's a great comic. And if you've never read it and you like stories that look at other stories, wow, you might enjoy it. Okay, thank you for listening.
That was not an ad, but but just a great, genuine enthusiasm.
Yes.
I love Neil Gaiman. I couldn't read Sandman. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. Neither could Chris Farron. Call out.
I accept that, and I love you, and I celebrate.
I just didn't
your
understand what was
interests.
going on. You need to get me right at the beginning, and I'm an impatient person. It's not great. It's not great. You know what? Fucking Monica. Just back to Monica. So 100% I have that brick laptop that Willow is using.
Me too.
Like the way she picks it up gave me
like-
memories. She's like, you know?
Yeah, you have to like plant
And you're like,
and lift with your legs.
and you're like, this is so convenient. Oh, you know, like I think that most people who are like kids of the 90s have like fucked up shoulders from the backpacks that we would carry.
Oh my
that
god!
just
And you had to wear it on one shoulder.
Yes,
to be cool.
to be cool. Ugh.
So
Also, shout out to Sheila for calling it a cyber coven.
Cyber coven. Your
And she locks Willow in the room. This is when shit starts to get really...
yeah, and she's like, I just have to let you go with love.
Yeah, this is when shit starts to really get scary, right? Michael runs into the library. He's all beat up. Like, this is when, like, it starts to get dark. And in our Twitter comments, I think it was Cole, actually, who tweeted at us something about the fact that, like, this show, like, the fact that this episode is having parents turn against their children for being different, when we've already kind of seen that difference aligned with queerness,
right,
is super upsetting. And that, you know, it is. I mean, things like they refer to Salem in this and the witch hunts and all this stuff. Like, there is a through line to all of these things. It's something different than you. It's something you don't understand. And so you want it to go away. You don't want to converse with it. You don't want to engage with it. And you don't want to understand it. You just want to snuff it out. And that's really scary. And the real part of this episode, I think that like gives us all the, it's a little too close to real things
right?
that
Like
have
they just like
happened.
want to make Sunnydale great again.
Oh God.
Sorry.
Wash your mouth out with
I
soap.
gotta.
We're gonna bleep right through that. The whole thing. It's just gonna be great again. Nope, not even that. Just all the way through. So adding fuel to the figurative and soon to be literal fire, Willow's mom, I said get your coat, witch. Right? Then we go to the fucking Summer's house and this fucking Joyce with the chloroform.
Okay. So yes, it's terrible, but is it worth it? Because then the kids are on the stairs, like holding the little bottle of clearly hugely labeled chloroform so that we can read it on the banister.
And is the bottle floating? Like what?
Yeah, what? How exactly
metaphysics of this
is that
scenario?
Real chloroform, or is it powered entirely by belief?
Metaphysical chloroform.
Yeah.
Metaform.
Metaform?
There's something that was really like I just had an interesting moment with this scene too, because Buffy is about to pass out or whatever you want to call it. Also, ding ding ding, knockout. We wouldn't have counted this as a knockout for Giles, but Cordelia straight up calls it a knockout.
Yeah.
So we're counting
anytime
it.
Giles gets unconscious.
Yeah, or at least if it's called a knockout and called out that he gets knocked out all the time.
Yeah.
Which happens in this episode. But yeah, Buffy has this moment as she's about to kind of like, she's like fluttering her eyes. She's in this twilight state. And it seems like she sees the kids. Because they're going in and out of focus as she passes out. And so I just wondered if it was like supposed to point to the fact that like you know what I mean? That maybe her unconsciousness, I don't know.
It's unclear, but it does seem to possibly be suggesting something.
Right. And so then where do we go, Jenny?
Cordelia slapping the shit out of Giles.
Oh my God.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Cordelia. She's going to do a lot of amazing things. And so I'm just going to cut this off at the chase.
Ba-ding.
That's not even the saying. Cut to the chase.
Cut to the chase.
So that's what it is. I'll say it again better.
Okay.
I just want to cut to the chase. Get it? Ha! And give her jingle. We have not heard the Cordelia jingle in a minute. Oh, Cordelia.
Great job.
A great Cordelia line comes right in this moment. One of these days, Giles, you're gonna wake up in a coma.
I mean, she might be right.
He's like, wake up in a... God damn it, just get out of the car.
I love how she's like, it took you so long to wake up, my hand hurts from slapping you.
Joyce and Sheila. So, do you have any sexual tension contenders, Jenny?
I really don't.
Because mine is between, I think it's between three. So let's figure it out here. Okay. Joyce and Sheila have a fucking moment. We go to City Hall. Everybody's on fire, and Joyce and Sheila in the burning City Hall. Actually,
just they're leaning down to apply a torch to some of the books piled at their daughter's feet.
Yes, and one of our listeners, Lewis Noble, wrote to us to say, I love that they try to burn the witches inside of City Hall.
Yeah, what?
Which is a great call. What are you doing, Moo? Anyhow, Joyce and Sheila have this moment where they're like, so we should hang out
Get
after
some lunch.
this. I'm just saying, like, Pat's gone.
Stay in touch.
And Joyce and Sheila have a moment.
Wow.
So my contenders are Joyce and Sheila,
Giles and Snyder,
or Giles and Joyce.
That would have been my like intuitive pick, you know? But it's also like less tension and more just like awkward fumbling.
Right. So then who are you going to give it to, Jenny? Should we play the jingle while you think?
Yes.
Sexual attention award.
All right. Now that I've had some time to reflect,
yes.
I am ready to award the trophy.
Yes.
To Joyce and Sheila.
What made the choice for you?
I just like don't like the idea of Snyder getting a trophy.
Aw, poor Snyder. Maybe if he got a damn trophy, he'd be a little nicer.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, Joyce and Sheila taking it.
Congratulations, ladies.
Congratulations. Joyce has won a tension award with Pat, and now Sheila. Joyce is doing a great job.
So, you know who's not winning any sexual attention awards?
Who?
Probably with anybody in the near future?
Who?
Poor, sweet, gentle Amy, who is now a rat.
Do you think that poor, sweet, and gentle are the ways to describe Amy?
Well, now that she's a rat.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. Amy is a badass witch. Like, she literally... Yes. I mean, I don't know if she meant to turn herself. I don't think she meant to turn herself into a rat. Do you think she meant to turn herself into a rat?
Oh, you think she meant to turn somebody else into a rat?
I do, because the spell that she did was take the thing that is unclean, and I feel like she was trying to spell the people that were bad, but
before the let the unclean thing crawl.
Right.
Make a person into a rat. But it's like, even if she turned all of them into rats, she'd still be tied to a stake on top of burning books.
So maybe, I don't know.
I think she did it on purpose.
She did it on purpose? Okay. Well, you know what? You know what would really benefit us here? Is a conversation with fucking Elizabeth and Alan.
Right? That would be helpful.
Who fucking plays Amy?
You just can't stop cussing.
I'm
when
just
it's time
so
to talk
excited.
about Elizabeth and Alan.
I've been so excited about getting to speak to many people, but we just had such a wonderful conversation with Elizabeth, and I love the character of Amy. I just think she has an incredible storyline in the show.
Yes.
And so we're going to speak with her, and this is spoiler free. This is just a conversation with Elizabeth through this episode. So perhaps we'll have her back later on if there's more with Amy.
Yes, who knows?
But yeah, let's go to this interview.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We are so excited, and our listeners are so excited to have you on the podcast.
It's very exciting.
We've seen Amy in 3 episodes so far, and we know we're going to see you in more. But we thought we would focus on the places that we've seen you already and start kind of at the beginning, if you don't mind telling us how you wound up on Buffy and what the audition process was like.
Well, I originally auditioned for the role of Buffy. And so I was brought in to meet Joss, and I loved him. He was great. And he decided to test me at the network level. So I actually tested against Sarah for the role of Buffy.
Oh my gosh. Was it just the two of you? Like, was it at that point when you...
At that point, it was just the two of us. So it was exciting. And obviously we know how it went. But yeah, that's how I got the role originally.
Wow, that's incredible. What was that like? Like when you go to a network level and you're testing against somebody, were you reading with people that were already cast on the show, or how does that work?
Oh my goodness. No, generally you read with the casting director, and there are 30 to 40 people in the room staring at you while you do.
God.
Yeah, so it's not stressful at all.
No,
that
yeah.
sounds
not at all.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Sounds very calm.
I was very calm.
So this happened. You did this audition for Buffy, and then how did Amy come about? Like, were you called back in for Amy, or was Amy already written into the first season, and you knew right off the bat that you were going to be Amy?
Actually, I was called back in to audition for a new character, and it was for a director who I'd worked for before, and he didn't feel like I could be mean. And so he wanted to see me be mean. So obviously I proved that I could be mean, and I got the role.
Yeah, you proved yourselves to all of us who watched the show as well.
Well, yeah, it is really awesome that in your very first episode, you essentially get to play two very different people. In terms of preparation for that, I mean, obviously you had to prove that you could be mean to the director, but did you approach the role in your preparation differently, or did you do anything special to sort of like hone in on that duality?
Well, yes. My mother was played by a woman named Robin Riker, and
yes,
she was super awesome. And the two of us sat there and we decided that we would study each other's mannerisms and pick a few of each other's mannerisms to incorporate into the character, because she was me and I was her. We both both the roles, and so we picked a couple and we just went with those. Okay, when I'm mom, I'm doing this and you're doing that. When you're Amy, I'm doing this and you're doing that. So that was kind of fun because we got to collaborate on that.
Oh, that's so amazing.
That's awesome.
So did you both, you sort of sat together and thought of that on your own? You were like, this is how we're going to collaboratively prepare for these roles?
Yes. Well, I wanted to I was watching her and she's like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I kind of wanted to pick up some of the mannerisms. And she said, well, I was thinking about that. And so we just started collaborating on it, and it translated, you got that.
Yeah, it's deeply effective.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. So talk to us again in Witch about cheerleading. I'm curious to know, we saw you, we went back to make sure because it's been a minute since we watched Witch, and we were like, I'm pretty sure that there are some serious cheerleading moves happening. So were those pre-existing cheerleading knowledge for you, or did you have to learn some cheerleading moves for this episode?
I was a cheerleader back in the day.
Yes.
I was. But there was no athleticism to the cheering back then. It was just a lot of clapping. And when I had to get up on a pyramid, I thought, holy cow, what have I gotten myself to?
Yes.
But no, we did a lot of training, and we did some practice on set for the cheerleading.
Oh, right. Because you have to not only get up on top of the pyramid, but you also had to kind of fall.
Yes. Well, yes. And I had to learn the cheers. I had to do some of the dances and some of the cheers.
Yes.
So great. What you do for your craft,
Yeah,
right. So when you were called back and Witch happened, did they call you back in for like a one-off episode, or you knew coming into Witch that Amy was going to have a longer arc?
Honestly, I just assumed it was a one-off. I just thought that was really nice of them to bring me back, and good to see all of them again. And I didn't expect more than that.
Well, then we were happy to see you again in Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
So was
I. This episode, I mean, gosh, there's something so fun in every episode of this series, I think. But Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered is so fun. And there are a couple of questions we have specifically about it. One, your eyes, it turned completely black. And I'm wondering if it was, were you wearing contacts? How did that happen?
They fit you with contacts. They're not super comfortable.
Right. They must be very large contact because it's like almost your whole eye.
They're huge. They're huge. And they have somebody who just deals with your contacts.
Oh, just like a contact specialist on set.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Just somebody who puts in the contacts. Yeah, so
Wow.
they cover all of your eye.
Wow.
And so is the world then shaded?
I don't even remember that. I don't remember them being shaded. I think it was a one-way. Like I could see out, but
Right. Yeah, because I remember I once had a fake ID. Don't tell anybody. But but I had I really took it to the extreme and I had colored contacts. They obviously weren't like huge and all black, but they were brown and my eyes are blue. And it wasn't like if the contact moved, I could. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah. I'm glad our conversation brought up my illegal activities as a young person.
Really fake IDs. No.
Right. Really going into the 90s in many angles. Okay. So tell us too, and you might have more stories about this episode, but one thing in particular that we thought was so fun was these scenes where like all of the women are chasing down Xander with various weapons and all this stuff. And so we're wondering if you have memories from that specifically.
I have to tell you, my favorite scene is when he is walking down the hall to that song, Got the Love.
Yes.
Everything's in slow-mo. The look on everybody's face. I thought that was hysterical. I just loved that scene. It just was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of some other one. The scene in the library was a lot of fun too.
Oh, that like where you go full postal on.
Oh yeah, it was fun to be able to turn Buffy into a rat.
Yes, your very first rat transformation, human to rat transformation.
Obviously, I have a rat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming, I feel like, I don't know if you feel honored that like in the emojis now there's a rat. I mean, there's a lot of representation for Amy and Amy's abilities.
I appreciate the rat. I have a newfound love for the rat after Amy.
But did we perhaps read somewhere that you are allergic to cheese in real life?
In real life, I am. Isn't that terrible?
Isn't it?
Right?
It is terrible, and it's also totally insane that two people, hundreds of miles away from you would be able to glean a random fact like you are allergic to cheese. Like what kind of world do we live in?
I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about Gingerbread. That is the episode that we're talking about today.
Yes, in Gingerbread, there's this very memorable scene where Buffy, Willow, and Amy are all tied up and they're about to be burned at the stake by their own parents. And once they start setting stuff on fire, what's the deal? Is that actual fire? Are we seeing any real fire? Or is that all like fire that was added in post?
No, there's some actual fire. Some of it's in post, but where's actual fire.
Tell us about that scene.
It was, they had fun with it. It was actually filmed on my birthday.
Oh my gosh. So
when they lit us on fire, they actually sang me happy birthday. Yeah, they thought that was funny. This was on set. Yes, this was how we acted on set.
Wow, that's incredible. I will never watch that scene the same way again. I will always hear
happy birthday.
Yeah. So tell us, let's go back to the rat for a second. First of all, what are your feelings on rats in general? Are you a fan of rats? Did this change your feeling about rats at all?
I have to tell you, I wasn't a fan prior to, but I met myself. I got to meet Rat Amy. So she wasn't bad. She was very sweet. So I felt like it was a good representative, and I was okay with it.
That's amazing. Was she was studying your behaviors like you had studied
Robin Riker's
behaviors?
It was a big collaboration.
Yes. That's amazing. Was there
a rat handler who came in with her rat, and yes, we met.
Wow. My gosh. I feel like your role had the most like niche. You're like, there was a contact handler, there was like a fire handler, a rat handler. Like there's like a million different special people on set for your arc in the show. Was there just one rat, Amy? There was just one rat that did all the scenes?
I can't speak to that.
I guess
only met the one rat, so I'm assuming it was the same rat, but
right. In future,
I think the lifespan of a rat,
Oh no. R.I.P. Rat Amy.
One rat would have made it that long.
Right. But in that episode in Gingerbread, the rat that we're seeing is just one rat. They don't have
one rat. Yeah.
One rat. Amazing.
No, like extremely protective rat labor laws where they've got to switch out every 2 hours or something.
No, I don't think the rat was on set very long.
You've told us already so many incredible stories, but sometimes there's a story that like we don't pull out in our questions. And even in these first 3 episodes for this arc, we're wondering if you have any fun stories of things that happened during the filming or, offset or anything like that that's related to the series for your time as Amy.
Well, I think coming back, my character wasn't intended to be goth, but I was surprised to get the call to come back, and I had just finished filming another project that required me to cut my hair off and dye it dark. And so when they called me, my agent had to say, oh, by the way, she looks a little different. So they tailored the role to that look.
Oh, wow.
So all of that was written in after my picture was sent in, and here's what she looks like currently. So they made her goth, and they created the whole goth line afterwards.
Oh my gosh. That makes, at least it's very believable. I feel like when I was in high school, I had like a year of being goth and a year of getting my stuff from the Salvation Army. And it's believable to have that kind of a shift in a character.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And it very much felt that way for Amy, just as she was exploring herself and kind of growing, and it made perfect sense to me.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your experience been like with what we know to be a still very powerful fandom around this series? Do you go to cons, or have you in the past, or, Comic-Cons, WhedonCon?
I haven't gone to any of the cons. I went to a couple fan-based things, but I haven't done that in years. But it's interesting. It's still I still get recognized as Amy, and I'll go out and I'll be with my children, and somebody will say, Amy. And my kids don't really understand it. Like, she is not Amy.
She is clearly Mom.
Right.
Oh, come on. But it's amazing to me. There's still quite a fan base out there. And now my son is in middle school, and his friends are watching Buffy.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So have your children seen you on Buffy, or have they seen the series at all?
My son, my daughter refuses to. She's 9, and it's too scary. And I showed her one picture as a witch, and she was out.
Right. Oh no.
I want no part of that. She's like, that's just weird. But my son is interested, and he watched. I showed him Witch just to kind of get his feet wet and see what he thought. And he just thought it was strange. He said, "It's you, but not you."
Right.
Yes, that's the acting.
Nailed it.
Right. I love that your daughter has like a self-awareness of her ability to I feel like that was the opposite of me as a child. I was like, oh, this seems like it could make me not sleep for weeks, so let me consume it immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my son is more that way. He said he's just in. He was like, yes, bring it. He just watched Jaws. He just loves all that stuff.
Right. So tell us, what are you up to these days? I don't know if you have places that you want people to find you. If you're like, you know what, I'm just go follow the rat. I'm doing my thing.
I actually paused after my daughter was born. Well, before my daughter was born, and just took a break and just to be mom.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing. Maybe someday I'll get back there. I just wanted to be home with my kids.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Of course. I feel like that's such an important conversation to have. Like, I don't know. There's such a so what are you doing now? And it's like, well, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And I just feel like taking time for ourselves and our families and like all of that good stuff is so valuable and important.
Oh, it's so hard to balance. I think particularly in this industry, it just was really hard to balance. I went to work after my son was born, and I would have night shoots, and it just was really hard to balance it all. And I just decided I was either going to have to get a full-time nanny or not, and I just chose not to.
I wonder if there's a connection too for you. We watched the show for many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons, and especially in the current climate in our country and in our world, we watch it because there's these incredibly strong female characters who do follow their guts, and they fight and they work hard and support each other. And I wonder what your thoughts are on what Buffy has done and continues to do for generations of young women and women of all ages.
Well, I think it's really important. I think, to watch these young women be so strong and so brave. It was a conversation that was just beginning when Joss created the show. And now I think it's so woven into our society and we're growing it. I think it's great.
Yeah. So I want to thank you again. We both want to thank you for taking the time out to be here with us and to share this just series of one incredible story after another with us. And is there anything that you want to share? Did we miss anything? Is there anything that you want to let our listeners know or share with us in general?
I'm so grateful for Joss and all the producers from Buffy to have carried me along in this series and to have been a part of it. It was a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed myself, and I'm grateful that there's still an audience.
Yes, as are we.
Yes.
Well, Elizabeth, we hope perhaps in a couple of years to maybe have you back. I mean, no spoilers for our listeners, but like maybe you come back. Maybe, I don't know. And if you do, we hope to hear from you again, because I know there's if you do come back, there'll be a lot more to talk about. All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you again to Elizabeth Ann Allen for joining us.
Huge thanks to Elizabeth Ann Allen. We came to talk to her in such a kismet way. We were I was looking on IMDb to see if there was contact information, and I couldn't find any. And then a contact of ours that we were having another conversation totally unrelated to said, it was 3 days after I was looking up information for her, said, I actually just, had this conversation with this person, and I ran into her husband, and we were chatting, and I told him about the podcast, and I was like, shut the front door. This is meant to be. And it was totally
it was
meant
very
to be.
serendipitous.
Can you ever watch the scene again? This scene ever again without singing happy birthday to Elizabeth Ann Allen? It's one of my favorite stories, if not my favorite story we've heard so far from a behind the scenes Buffy thing. So great.
So we've just got really just a handful of things left to talk about in this episode.
Namely, Buffy's super convincing, you in the back will be fish. We're going to turn you all.
Maybe poker's not her game. Giles rips a bobby pin out of Cordelia's hair and picks a lock.
Yes. And also, don't forget.
Talk about Randy for Giles.
Cordelia is bustling about with the inside of toads in the car while they're driving over. So mad, but always involved.
Also ready with the fire hose. She just breaks that glass and is spraying everyone's torches, and then just kind of spraying the people to be like, fuck you guys.
I'll tell you what, it was Cordelia and City Hall with the fire hose.
Yes, exactly.
It was. Xander and Oz, teamwork, getting through the vent, popping up in that vent,
Yep. Then we see the kids transform into their true form, which is a very tall...
I kind of like him.
Yeah, there's kind of a bridge troll fairy tale, very fairy tale. In terms of what kind of demons we tend to see on the show.
Absolutely. Right? It reminds me of the look of this demon, even though he is an evil demon, is the kind of demon that you see that you think is going to be bad, but then is jovial.
Really
and
has a heart of gold.
Yes, right. But this one doesn't.
My favorite part is that the demon can't break character, even though it has transformed into its true form and is like, protect us, kill the bad girls.
It's Cordelia says it best. I think I liked the two little ones more than I liked the one big one. Meanwhile, Giles is like, "Der Kugenflagen." I just feel like Giles did not speak any actual German.
If
you let us know,
please tell us.
It sounded like an impression of what you think German would sound like.
Right.
Der Kugenflagen.
Right. And then Buffy is able to uproot the stake to which she is tied.
Yes.
And does her best, not being able to look up at the demon, to harpoon him.
Yes.
And is successful.
But she doesn't know if she's successful.
She can't tell. She's like,
sort of,
did I get him?
Did I get it? And then to just add comedy to comedy,
right.
Oz and Xander fall through the roof, and Oz is like, "We were gonna save you.
Yeah, we're here to rescue you.
We are men."
Great comic timing. A lot of really satisfying moments in this episode, but then also a lot of really frustrating things.
Yeah, and I think a lot of you said that you really liked this episode when we tweeted out about the fact that we were sharing it, and I agree. I think it's a good episode.
I'm glad it's here.
A good Monster of the Week episode, very thought through. I think that some of the Monster of the Week episodes were sort of left like, wait, there's some loopholes here. And this one just had a really cool storyline, and you got the lightness of some jokes here and there, but also there's some really dark shit in this episode.
Yeah.
Willow's relationship with her mom, that's
so
some
sad.
real shit that we have not yet seen. That's the first time we see this, and we're getting deeper layers of Willow's character and what she's going home to at the end of the day. So I think that's important, and then really thinking obviously about mob mentality and protect the children narratives and how that can make people really believe that what they're doing is justifiable, is good, is right. So we really, keep your eyes open, because lots of shit like that happens out there in the world where people use something that plays on emotions that we have to make us feel like we have to take action in a particular direction. I mean, you're all listening to this podcast. I think you do those things anyway. We're all kind of in this together, but it's tricky. It's slippery.
It is. Just like a toadstone.
Just like a toadstone. So our little last scene here.
Oh no, they're trying so hard, but they can't make Amy not a rat anymore.
Amy is one cute rat, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that's an adorable
that
rat.
Is a cute
I wonder if that rat got a lot of work in 1999. That's a cute ass rat.
But yeah, so Amy's a rat, and as we find out, because one of my questions as we were watching the episode for the first time was what are they all gonna they've all gone through this as a town now, but Willow kind of calls it out at the end of the episode and is just like, my mom's doing that thing that your mom did for all that time where she doesn't remember anything.
Yeah, she just has a selective memory.
Yeah, and she's chosen to block it out.
That's the real disease of Sunnydale.
Isn't it? Yes, isn't it?
So, what an episode.
What an episode. There was mob mentality. There was fire. There was
happy birthday singing.
There was happy birthday singing on set. Another huge thanks to Elizabeth and Alan for just being so wonderful. Just such a delight.
Yes.
Well, Jenny, shall we end this thing? Shall we get
Good
to the
gravy.
song?
Let's get
I'm
to the
excited
song.
to get to the song.
I thought you might
So tell
be.
the people where they can find you.
Gee whiz. My name is Jenny Owen Youngs, and when I'm not making this podcast with my wife, Kristen, I'm making songs and playing shows and whatnot. You can learn all about my musical exploits by visiting jennyowenyoungs.com/buffering. You could also give me a shout on Twitter at Jenny Owen Youngs.
Yes, and you can learn all about me and the work that I do with LGBT communities and their families over at KristenNoeline.com. That's KristenNoeline. That is also where you can find me on Twitter. And a heads up, if you want to know specifically, if you want to find that work, the organizations that I run are called Everyone is Gay and My Kid is Gay, everyoneisgay.com and mykidisgay.com. Tons of resources over there for young people who are coming out, who are falling in love with their best friends, tons of resources for parents who have young people who have just come out to them. So it is the holiday season, and you may find that you have a child of your own who has come out to you. This is what happens over the holidays, people. So those resources are there for you, and I'm very, very happy that they are.
And hey, did you know that Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at BufferingCast? Well, if you didn't, now you do. And also, you can drop us an email anytime at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com.
Yes,
Day or night.
Day or night. And remember that Twitter is going to be a hot beacon of sweet, sweet holiday gift goodness when we do our... Yeah, I said it. I said it. We're going to be doing some really incredible giveaways. We talked about them at the top of the episode, so you'll want to follow us over there if you want some gifts that you don't even have to pay for.
Woo.
You can support our work in many ways. One of them is going over to Patreon. Just go to bufferingthevampireslayer.com and click on Patreon. You will find all of the details about what you get over there by giving. Really fun stuff. The secret Facebook group, the Buffy watches, the mailbag episodes, and more. Plus, you get to support us. It's like a win-win. It's a win-win-win-win-win. You can also go on over to iTunes and rate and review us. That helps people find our podcast and builds this community evermore. And last, but certainly not least, you can go on over to our store, bufferingthevampireslayer.com, click on shop, and you will see all of the patriarchy-smashing t-shirts, the Randy for Giles pins. It's really just getting more fun over there by the minute, and it helps us sustain the work.
Yes. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, woo! My mom lost her mind this week. She tried out mob mentality. She's a natural, 'cause she's very strong. In this case, oh God, she was really wrong. All the moo moms say, well, you're going to hell, 'cause you're not like us, and we can tell. We'll take your magic, burn your books, 'cause we don't like your witchy looks. And since we've got a roaring blaze, we may as well burn you at the stake. Moo, 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 moo. Your mom likes psychology, won't listen. She just spouts theory, but this week she's paying attention to groundings and parental fascism. Yeah, all the moo moms say, well, you're going to hell, 'cause you're not like us, and we can tell. We'll take your magic, burn your books, 'cause we don't like your witchy looks. And since we've got a roaring blaze, we may as well burn you at the stake. Moo, 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 moo. And perhaps the biggest casualty of this whole kerfuffle is Amy. She's a rat, she's a rat, she's a rat. All the moo moms say, moo, moo, moo. They also say, well, you're going to hell, 'cause you're not like us, and we can tell. We'll take your magic, burn your books, 'cause we don't like your witchy looks. And since we've got a roaring blaze, we may as well burn you at the stake. Moo, 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 moo.
Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
A bloodbath tonight in the rural town of Chinook.
Everyone here is hiding a secret.
4 more victims found scattered.
Some worse than others.
I came as fast as I could. I'm Deputy Ruth Vogel.
And soon, my quiet life will never be the same.
Realm presents a 30 Ninjas production, Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.